I was born in 1940. So my challenging world when I got a graduated from preschool and went to, you know, second elementary school, and then we go downtown. The thing was different, you know, between the black, at that time they was calling us Negroes, and when we downtown, they had separate water fountains saying nigger and white. So I experienced that in my lifetime. The washroom the same way, and you wasn't able to go in a restaurant unless you went through the back door. So there was a, you know, I experienced that. So nobody can tell me United States is not prejudiced. So I came up in a prejudiced state in Lexington, Mississippi, and Mississippi. Then, you know, when I graduated in 1958. My mother lived here, and I came to Chicago. And, you know, some things were different. What can I say was different? I didn't expect, you know, I got a job. I worked in a restaurant, and then I went to Roosevelt College for some secretary, you know, work, and then working in splitting, splitting restaurants. I had got a lot of experience. I mean, a lot of people they would talk about things they had experienced here, and I never will forget what Dr. Martin Luther King said that when he came to Chicago, he didn't know he was going to experience more prejudice people he had experienced in Mississippi. So, you know, with me being in Chicago, the challenge I was living on 16th Street and my mom was, we had gangs then, you know, you still have gangs. But the gangs today are different from the gangs when I first came to Chicago. And I was looking and sitting, the difference was, when I walk up to now 16th Street, we know we had the Vice Lords and whatever other gang. When they were getting ready to fight or do something, a Romo, they called it Romo back then, those days. They asked all the women and children get off the streets. But today, these gangs now, they don't want, they just start shooting, they're killing out little babies, no more with that, what they're doing. I don't know what the problem is with today's society, or what's going through their head today. Why are you gonna let them shoot in the car, or you don't even know a baby in the car or not? If you got a person that is a target, wait till that person get out the car. You want to get that particular person, I think you should shoot that person, not shoot up in the car, but you don't know what's in that car. So that's, you know, that's heartbreaking to me. So, ah, it's just, you know, I'm 81 years old. I came up here when I was in my 20s. I got married when I was 22. And my first marriage, it didn't work out. I had 3 kids by my first marriage. And then I got married the second time, and we're living on 5667 Daneland. My oldest daughter named was Shanelle. She was 20 years old. And I experienced death with her because at the time she had 2 sons. And the youngest one was in the hospital, and she'd go every day to visit her son in the hospital. So this particular Saturday, she left the house. I wasn't home. I was out in Maywood with my sister. Got back home, they called me saying this particular Saturday, she was supposed to be picking up her son from the hospital. They were discharging him. And so they called me and saying that your daughter didn't make it out here to pick up her son. So that, you know, so I started calling around, and nobody had seen her. So I left and came home, started calling some of her friends and things. So that was like, oh God, the day they were searching buildings and things in the neighborhood around on 56 and 57 in Damon. And that's, she made 20 on July the 3rd. That's the day they found her body in a laundry bag. Some kids were playing in the alley at 59th and Wood Alley, and they saw this bag, saw an arm hanging out the bag, and that was my daughter. And so her body was decomposed because she was missing for a whole week. Well, the policemen do their job either, because we had people in the neighborhood, they didn't think about looking in alleys and things. They were looking at abandoned buildings and things. That was a trauma to me. I didn't want to live. But with the help of the good Lord, people talking and, you know, I listen to people and, you know, they can tell you things, but you got to do grieving on your own and grieve in your own way. But as time went by, and this lady told me, get one scripture and read it daily. So that's why I got my strength. The 23rd Psalms. That's my scripture. And I read that daily. And I wasn't in church. I got back in church. And I got a lot of support from the church members. So anybody today that lost a child, I know what they're going through. If not to heaven, you don't want to experience that. Because I figure like this, you're not supposed to bury your children. The children are supposed to bury you. So that was a trauma, you know, that was a trauma to me too. So thanks.
Yeah. Chanel right there.
Mm-hmm. There she is again. That's my stepson, Henry Jr. He died. And this is my husband, second husband, Henry Brown. He died with cancer. My grandmother, I told you about that in slavery, my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is my sister, Catherine. She died with cancer. She stayed in Mississippi. She never did come to live in Chicago. And that's my mom, and that's my dad, my stepdad. And my dad and my mom right there. And all of these are my relatives that I passed on. Yeah. I think everybody's have to have their own opinion to it, but if it's not agreeing to what is right, I'm not for that. Just like on Facebook I said, and I saw this young man on there saying about, you know, Biden opening up letting all the Spanish that didn't come over when they get ready. But what about the people in your own country? I said, what about them? To me, they're doing good. And he said, oh, what about the homeless people? Biden ain't saying nothing about the homeless people. I said, well, you know what? Did Trump say anything about the homeless? No. You know, you just can't put it on Biden.
Right. Yeah.
The homeless been around here forever. And so I saw this lady homeless, and I offer her, they have their pride too. You just surprised how these homeless got pride too. And I offer her to take her to, you know, get her some food and stuff. And I offered, I said, you know, I can get a place for you to stay a few weeks or something. She said, I don't want it. So they have their pride. Yeah. So a lot of them have their pride. You can't not just force them to do something, or you have a lot of them will take that, but I ran on experience that. So saying this, they have a lot of places where you can open up abandoned buildings and invest in, for homeless people. To me, you know, and a lot of them might go, a lot of night, but some of them seem to be enjoying where they are staying, but you know, and they got people going out now, taking food to them, clothing, blankets and things, you know. So while he was talking about that, I said, what, to me, if I could ask him a question, what are you doing? What have you tried to do for the homeless?
9 times out of 10, it's like
and then somebody white get on that, you should run for president. You know, yeah. How could you tell somebody to run for president when they only speaking about one issue? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of issues going on in the United States.